On this episode of Damsels in the DMs.
It's like create opportunities for yourself so you're not just stuck not doing what you love to do. Or find other things you like to do too. Like as long as you're in that vibration of having fun and doing what you love, you'll attract more of doing that. So you'll eventually book something.
This message is intended as a reminder that we are not licensed professionals, not psychiatrists or psychologists. If you have a serious problem, please seek professional help. The National Suicide Hotline is 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255.
There's some damsels in the DM.
Yes, queen.
Tell us what's the vibe. There's some damsels in the DM. Please tell us what's the vibe. DMs, yeah we see them, yeah we read them. DMs, we don't need them, we just leave them.
Please.
Yeah.
It's going down in the DMs. Bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Damsels in the DMs. I'm Lauren.
I'm Ash.
And Osh was almost a blonde, but is here with her dark hair.
I was basically a blonde, but the real blondes don't accept me as a blonde. So then when I was dyeing it back to brown, they were like, oh, you're not staying blonde. I was like, oh, now I'm blonde. When I'm like back to brunette. Okay.
But you honestly looked really good as a blonde. And the other thing that I really respect about you is I would be so terrified to dye my hair, but you really just dove right in.
You've never dyed your hair before though, right?
No, never.
That's why. I've dyed my hair so many times. I've just started dyeing my hair when I was 18. So for me, dyeing it is not bad at all, but this was, I can't even talk about what it was actually, the product or the company or whatever, but it was blonde. It basically became blonde and I wasn't prepared for it. I'm never prepared for any hair job that I do, and I should probably learn my lesson. The last hair job, I don't know if you guys remember this, but the last hair job I did, they cut my hair into a bob. And I was not happy about that. But the blonde I actually did like. I just thought it was a little bit crazy for my look, for my book, for acting. It just, if I wasn't in the industry, maybe I would have done something with it. But yeah, it's just too much.
Yeah, fair. Well, good to see you here. Good to see you as a brunette. Today we have Abi Monterey on the podcast, who is an actor, performer. She's actually somebody who I met at an event here in New York, but we had this really funny flip where she moved to LA in August when I moved to New York in August. And we really bonded over that. And she has such an incredible story. So I knew she would be such a perfect fit to come on the podcast.
Did you know she was going to move to LA when you met her? Did you guys know you were going to have the switch?
So actually, my good friend in grad school who you met, Crystal, recognized them from the shows that we were on, and we just got to talking to them. And when we were talking, she had already moved to LA because this event was maybe in December or something. So we had both already moved to our prospective cities, and she was just there visiting her sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for everyone to listen more about her story because she has got the coolest, most inspiring acting journey. And I wish I heard her story when I was a kid.
I know, right? It's very inspirational and motivational, and definitely I think really changes the tune of what society's perception is of child actors, because I feel like people are always so worried about corrupting kids in the industry and everything, but she has such a healthy mindset, and I feel such a great balance in her life with her career, which I feel is something that I even really need to work on.
Also, taking your career in your own hands when you're a tiny little baby is so unique. Who does that? No one knows what they want to do. Sure, they might think acting is fun, but they don't actually take things into their own hands and do all the things that she did, which I'm not going to mention right now because I want you guys to go ahead and listen to this episode.
Yeah. And you're a well-adjusted kid if you can develop your own show at the age of 13.
Insane.
Yeah. Well, whatever. We'll get into it and you guys will hear it all for yourselves.
Let's do it.
Okay. So today we are here with Abi Monterey. Hi, Abi. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So Abi and I actually met at an event in New York, but Abi, you are no longer a New Yorker. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Are you in LA?
Yeah, I'm in LA.
Amazing. Where in LA are you?
I'm in like Sherman Oaks area.
Okay. What made you make the switch from New York to LA?
I honestly just wanted to try it because I'd lived in New York for 10 years. I'm originally from Florida, Tampa,
Okay.
Florida. So I moved to New York in 2012 to start theater things and lived there 10 years. And then when I was working, almost everyone I knew lived in LA. And I heard so many great things about it. Um, so I was like, I should just try it and see how it might change my life. So I went for it.
And how long have you been here for?
Since August.
Wow.
August.
Oh, like
So
2022.
yeah,
Oh my God, welcome.
thanks.
I'm always like, oh, why do people move from New York to LA? New York is so cool. Who does that?
I don't know. New York is really cool, and I'm always like a New Yorker at heart. And maybe one day I'll go back. I'm not quite sure yet, but I like it here because of the nature. And I didn't realize how much I needed nature to be a person.
Yeah. Abby and I like switched places. So that was one of the things that we were talking about when we met, because we left at the same time. And I feel like I'm an LA person, but in New York. So we're the total opposites of each other.
Yeah.
So tell us, how has it changed your life? Do you think what's been the difference since moving?
My life feels a lot calmer in a good way. Like I've had the opportunity to really think about who I am and get to know myself better. LA can be a lonely place. Anywhere can be lonely, especially when you first move there, but I've used it as a time to really like work on myself, focus on myself, my career, and I have met a lot of people. So it definitely now I feel a lot more settled. It's a lot less lonely, but I've really used it as a time to like focus on myself and figure out who I am.
So you mentioned that you moved to New York when you were 12 and you started in Broadway, right? So
Yes.
how has that been? Like, you started off like as a kid, like now you're an adult and you're still pursuing acting. How has the transition been from like Broadway moving more in towards film and like the various markets between New York and LA?
Yes. It's definitely been a transition. Both industries are very different. Even the acting style is very different. So with theater acting, you have to always perform to the back row. And then with film, it's a lot more internal and the camera just needs to see your eyes. So it's just two completely different acting styles that I definitely had to get used to. And the thing that really helped me transition was being on Doom Patrol, and which is a show on a DC superhero show on HBO Max that I'm in. And I wear like full face prosthetics in it. So I did have to, that theater training really came in handy because I couldn't be as subtle as you normally would because I had makeup all over my face and prosthetics. So I had to find like a balance between the being subtle and being more performative, I guess, to kind of get emotion to come across on camera with all of that makeup. So it was a good transition. That was my first film thing.
I saw pictures on your Instagram of that and it freaked me out so much. And I was like, how many hours do you have that on your face for? And how is it comfortable? I've never had prosthetics done. And every time I see a video of someone getting prosthetics done, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so freaked out. I don't know how people are dealing with that.
It's honestly not too bad. Like you get used to it after a while. Originally, I joined the show in season 2 and I was on it for the past 3 seasons. And season 2, the first time it took about 4 hours to get into the makeup. So my call was like really, really early. That's the hardest part, waking up early, like waking up at like 2 in the morning to go to set is really difficult sometimes. But like you get used to it. I've been doing it for 3 seasons, so I've definitely gotten used to it. And now season 4, it took about like hour and a half to 2 hours to do the makeup by the end of filming.
Wow.
So it went from being like almost 4 hours to a lot shorter because like people get the hang of things, people get a routine in, and people know what they're doing more after time.
What did you do to adjust your acting style from the Broadway style into being more intimate for film?
Doom Patrol was my very first on-camera thing, and I was really nervous about that because I had never been exposed to that really before. And I asked one of my acting teachers at the time for advice, and she just said, just think really loudly and you'll be fine. And don't. So I just did that. And then sometimes like people would be like, okay, for some reason with the prosthetics, surprise didn't come across because I didn't really have eyebrows.
Mm.
So I like sometimes had to just move my face a little bit more for certain things that didn't come across and like test things out. Like during my screen test, we were like testing different ways I could move my face and seeing what came across, what didn't come across. By season 4, I like knew exactly what I was doing, but definitely in the beginning, season 2, it was like you could do the normal film acting only to a certain extent because of the makeup.
So for your screen test, they had you completely in the makeup for it?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was after I was cast. They did the screen test after I was cast, and I had like 2 different looks. So season 2 opens with my character in like a freak show being like abused. It's really dark. And so they had that look and they're testing all of that out. They're testing out different hair looks, different makeup looks, things like that. It was a long process. I remember some days I was in the chair for like almost 9 hours with different looks.
How was adjusting between like you've been doing that kind of acting, you're on it for 3 seasons, and then you got cast in Curse of Bridge Hollow, right?
Yes.
So what was like the differentiation there? How did you prepare for that role?
Curse of Bridge Hallow, it's a kids movie, so the stakes were really low. And it was a comedy too. So by that point, I had been working long enough to really know what I was doing on camera. So I didn't really have to prepare too much. And I wasn't really too worried about coming across as too theatrical also, because I had a lot more experience by that point. I had done season 2 and season 3 by that point. And even just like watching the other actors I'm around, you can learn so much from your peers. So I just learned a lot just watching them. So I felt pretty prepared, but it was low stakes. The movie was really fun. Everyone involved in the film was really funny, and it was honestly a really great set.
What's some advice that you would give to people who wanted to pursue acting or were thinking about moving to LA and getting more involved in the film industry?
I'd say go for it and keep auditioning and focus more on your personal life so you don't get too attached, because the minute you get too attached to things, you kind of radiate desperation, and people don't like that. So when you have your life set, focus more on your personal life and what makes you happy and you're having fun, then you start to book things when you're focusing less on booking things.
I like that advice because it's so hard sometimes when you're not booking. You're like, what could I be doing more than like, what I'm already doing? And I remember asking my acting coach this, and he was like, just enjoy, relax, like stop. And I was like, okay, fine. So I'm trying to stop and not being so stressed out.
Which is easier said than done. But another way to help with that is like create opportunities for yourself. So you're not just stuck not doing what you love to do. Or find other things you like to do too. Like as long as you're in that vibration of having fun and doing what you love, you'll attract more of doing that. So you'll eventually book something.
Question. So can we go back to Broadway?
Yes.
How did you get into that? How did your love for acting even start in the first place? How did you get into Broadway? What was that journey for you like?
So I originally started when I was in Tampa, Florida. I started performing at 6. I was in this all-girls performing group called Entertainment Review, and we performed all across the state of Florida and would like tour across Florida. And I did that from when I was 6 to 12 years old. And then I had that experience. So it wasn't really musical theater. It was more like pop star training in a way. That's what it felt like. It was very much like that. Like a lot of people involved in Entertainment Review went on to do like American Idol, The Voice. It was not really acting. And then I had my first audition, me and my sister, for How the Grinch Stole Christmas and Matilda the Musical. We're like, let's just go to New York and do it. Not expecting anything. And then Millie booked Matilda and I booked Grinch. And then we're like, it, we had to move to New York. And so we like,
And how old were you when that happened?
I was 12.
Oh, wow.
So I was really young. And then I was living in New York from then. It kind of went over my head. Like I didn't realize that it was a big deal when it was happening because I was so young. I was like, oh, this is just like I'm performing in a theater. Yay. So I didn't really like realize the extent of the situation. But after that, I did like off-Broadway things. I was involved in like a lot of workshops for like new shows, new musicals, things like that. And I started auditioning for film in around like 2018, 2019.
Wow. How do you think you've stayed grounded through it all? Because you hear these stories about people who start acting or being on Broadway really young and they kind of like go off the deep end. But how do you think that you've kept your normalcy throughout all of it?
Honestly, I think it's because I like other things besides acting
Hmm.
in my life. So it's not the only thing I have going on. So I
Mm.
feel like for example, I'm also like an astrologer and I've been studying astrology since I was like 13.
Wow.
So I also do that and I have that going on in my life. Things like that. I feel like that's helped me stay grounded a lot. And also I think my upbringing, my mom is she's not in the entertainment industry at all. And she was very much the type of person to make us work for what we wanted. If we wanted to go to rehearsal, we had to do a certain amount of chores. She had like she also did not know anything about the entertainment industry. So it was all me doing my own work because I wanted to do it. My
That's
mom
so
works in like
awesome.
corporate America, so she has no idea what's
So
going
did your
on.
parents move to New York with you? And also when you were doing from 6 to 12, when you were touring everywhere, did they also, was that just for summer holidays or were you like out of school for that?
I was out of school a little bit. It was mostly like Friday, Saturday, Sunday we would perform because the group was 6 years old to 18 and it was mostly high schoolers and a few like young girls and I was one of the few young girls. So it was nice. My parents didn't come with me for that. We never really like we would carpool a lot of the time and things like that, like all of the girls together. We would carpool. There were like select moms that would come with us and kind of be like the caretaker for everyone. But it was mostly high schoolers. So like a lot of people didn't really need a parent there. And I had
Okay.
older girls to like take care of me also. So
Yeah,
that
because
was
you're so young. It's like 6 is a baby.
Yeah.
yes.
That's really, really cool. And then but then did your family move to New York? Like everyone moved or just you and your sister?
My mom moved with us.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
How do you think you stayed non-competitive with your sister?
I think it's just because we're so different as people. I feel like that's it because we never really go out for the same roles. And when we do, we're always like, if they cast you, they were not looking for me. So I feel like that's how we've stayed not competitive.
That's
Guys,
smart.
like, work on auditions together if you get the same one.
Yeah, we have before. Um, we're just so different. It like comes across as a completely different person when we do things. So we're always like, okay, it's up to them to decide. Like it's also with casting, it's nothing personal. It's whoever can fit the part and do justice to that role deserves that role. And if you're not cast, like it's not about you, it's about the role.
1000%.
And
With modeling, it's like about you. It's not about the role.
Modeling would scare me. I don't know if I could do that.
It's like way more personal. And you're like, okay, great. Thanks.
Wait, do you model?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds so scary. I'm also too small to do that.
I mean, I'm 5'5", and that's like, or typically models would be like 5'10" and above, but now things are changing, so you never know.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Okay, so is your sister still in New York or did you guys both move to LA together?
She's still in New York.
and
Yes.
has that happened? Like if you guys were working on the same audition that one of you got it and one didn't?
Yes, with Curse of Bridge Hollow. Which is crazy. At one point they were thinking of like maybe making two of the characters sisters. I was out for two characters. I was out for Ramona and Jamie. So during the auditions, I just kept switching characters And then I ended up going further and Millie didn't. But like, it's nothing like personal. So it's like, we're not in control of everything. We just have to show up and do our best.
Did they know that you were sisters?
Yeah.
Wow. They knew because like they knew of you or because you told them?
I think they knew of us, maybe.
Okay.
It also, if you like look us up online, you figure out we're sisters.
Yeah. That's really
Eventually, yeah. So they probably did that. They're like, wait, they're sisters.
funny.
Yeah.
But what a like that's such a good story about fate that you both booked Broadway shows at the same time in New York. Like, wow. If you were like looking for a sign to pursue this career, I feel like that has to be a blaring one.
Yes. That's literally the moment we knew we were definitely doing this for life.
Wow.
That moment, because like both of us, Millie was also in entertainment review. She didn't get in until she was a little older. Older being like 8.
So late, so late.
But so we both have been like performing a lot, and when you take it to the next level and you find success at such a young age, it's like kind of a sign like, oh, you're good at this, you can get better at this. And the only thing is, a lot of people, when they start working as a child, they don't try to get better. There's always something to learn. Like, you're always growing as a person and as an actor, and you can never be the best actor. There's no stopping point. So I feel like if you keep like training, that being training on your own, training with a coach, stuff like that, you can keep getting better and better, especially if you already find success as a kid. That's like a sign to keep doing it.
Wow.
So are you still training right now?
I train on my own. I work with a coach sometimes too.
Okay.
I usually work with my coach for like auditions that I really want to book, or auditions that are a little more challenging,
Okay.
and things like that. So I don't spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's another thing. All of the training is really expensive. So there's so many ways to train on your own. Also, like, you can learn so much from watching, even just people watching, like going to the park, writing notes on the people you see around you, things like that, writing notes on people in your life. Like, there's always ways to like keep training on your own without even taking a class. And there's so many books you can read about acting. Like, there's so many like great acting teachers who've written these very like useful books. So there's so much information you can get on your own.
Wow.
Yeah. Can you drop some tips other than people watching? Can you drop some books or other tips that you have that you train on your own for us and for our listeners?
Yeah, there's a lot of Stella Adler books that are really good. There's the Uta Hagen book that's really good. Stuff about Meisner, and the things with those like acting techniques, you only should use what works for you. You can try different things, you can mix them, but at the end of the day, you're creating your own process because acting's so personal. So I feel like read as much as you can, do whatever you can to figure out that own process. Me and my friends during the pandemic created this like cute little scene study club, and we've all like worked before, but it was the pandemic and we were like, we're not working right now, nobody's working, and there's no way to like get better right now
Right.
because there's conditions. And so we met through Zoom once a week and just did scenes together, gave each other notes, talked about things that worked really well, things that didn't, all of that. And that was really helpful. So like, even doing that with your friends is a good way to just keep training without spending a lot of money.
Osh, are we organizing this?
We're starting a little Zoom group.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll join.
Great.
I'm actually about to start acting classes next month in person for the first time after a very long time. Like, I think Leslie Kahn was the last time I was in an in-person. Oh no, wait, sorry. I did Anthony Mindel.
And in France, but yeah.
And in France. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
It's
I
kind of
don't
like
know,
the
it
third
feels like
time,
it's such a
but
big deal
close.
that it's in person. But yeah, you're right. I have done in person, but I'm excited.
Being in person and doing it, like, if you can take a class, because that's the best way, by like doing it as much as possible.
Yeah.
What do you think has been some of the hardest moments of pursuing this career to get to where you currently are? And have you had moments where you were like, okay, I need to stop doing this and I'm going to like fully pursue astrology instead?
Yeah. So the hardest moments definitely were when I was in high school, for sure. It's such a weird age that it doesn't really get, because like a lot of adults play high schoolers instead
Mm-hmm.
of actual high schoolers playing high schoolers.
Mhm.
Um, so there's a little less opportunities. Also, it's a weird time in your life where you feel awkward, you feel you don't really know who you are. That was the hardest moment. A lot of rejection there. And I was really focusing on dance at that point in my life. I was also a dancer. Um, so I wasn't focusing on acting as much when I was in high school, because of all of that rejection.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but the advice I would give is, again, to just focus on your personal life, because you have no control as an actor. You just have to show up, do your best work, and if your best work isn't what's right for the character, then you're not going to be cast, and that's okay. It's not about you at the end of the day. An actor is honestly just like a tool almost to tell the story. And if you can't do that, then you shouldn't cast. So just knowing it's nothing personal, and just learning to like find the joy in auditioning, and not caring about the rejection. That's the advice I would give.
That's amazing. So, what are some like healthy habits, or do you have a morning routine? Like, what are the things that you feel like are you have to stick by this in order to be the best version of yourself? I'm also particularly interested in if there's certain things that you do before you have to show up on set at 2 a.m.
Oh, yes. So in general, my morning routine, I like to work out in the morning because it really gets my day started and I feel really motivated after. And it just puts me in a really positive mindset. And then the days that I don't work out, that aren't like rest days, of course. Resting is also very important, but the days I don't work out, I kind of feel depressed anyway. Um, so yeah, my morning routine is like working out, drinking a lot of water, eating breakfast every morning. It's important to eat food, things like that. And then when I have to be on set that early, I take a shower. So I wake up in the morning right away. Because it's so hard to like get out of bed. And the night before, sometimes I would go to bed at like I would be in bed at 5 p.m. because I would have to wake up at like 2 a.m.
Oh my God.
I would take melatonin, force myself to go to sleep. And the day, like Sundays, I would wake up really early on Sundays to shift my sleep schedule and do a lot of things throughout the day. So I would be tired by 5 p.m. And then I would go to sleep, wake up at 2, take a shower right away, and then I would eat on the way to set. Because once the makeup's being put on, you can't eat while they're doing the makeup. So once while the makeup's being put on, I can just relax for a second. But yeah, that was basically my routine going to set. And throughout the week, the call times get a little later and later and later, because as you guys probably know, like it always goes overtime a little bit every day. And
Yeah.
then by the end of the week, you're working really late at night. So like, especially on Doom Patrol, we would be working to like 3 a.m., 5 a.m., like stuff like that. One time we wrapped at like 8 a.m., which is
Wow.
crazy. Um,
But
so
you would
like
get them at 2 a.m. and then wrap 8 a.m. the next day?
not on Fridays. I would, because the call times would shift later and later and
Oh,
later, throughout the week, because of going a little bit overtime, and then it eventually adds up by Friday. But Fridays I was being called at like probably like noon.
oh,
That's a long time, um, to be on set. But yes, then Saturdays is the recovery day, and then Sunday, force yourself to wake up early so you can wake up early on Monday.
oh
Um,
my,
yes.
that's so, so difficult. I commend you so much for doing that.
Thanks.
And it's not just like a one time or a two, like, for like a 2 day shoot. This is like, how long did one season take to film?
Season 2, I was there for about 5 months. So it is a long time. But since it's a very like ensemble show, I wasn't being called every day. So I would have like 2 days off throughout the week, things like that. So it wasn't every single day. The episodes that really, really followed my character, it would be more like that. But the episodes that didn't follow my character as much, I would work like 3 times a week.
Okay.
So not as bad. Season 3, I wasn't in season 3 that much. I was only in a few episodes season 3. So it was just like 2-3 months I was there. And then season 4, I was there for 4 months.
And was this in LA or somewhere else?
In Georgia, Atlanta.
Okay. And you were living in New York while this was being filmed, right? When you were filming this?
Yeah, I was still in New York.
Can you
Mhm.
tell us what you're working on now or what's coming next?
I don't have anything I can talk about at the moment, but the second part of season 4, I don't know. It's supposed to come out in the next few months, I think. I'm not sure exactly when, but that's the next thing to look forward to.
Yay.
That's
And then
so-
my other question is, you mentioned your workout. Any particular workout that you like to do?
I like to do a lot of like Pilates inspired things and yoga and also a little bit of weightlifting.
Okay.
Same.
Hey.
Pilates obsessed.
So please tell us what this like musical duet Shapiro Sisters was. Like you had your own show. Like I really need to know.
So basically, we did that at 54 Below, which is this concert cabaret venue in New York City. And I was, how old was I? I was 13 and my sister was 11. So I had finished Grinch like 6 months before, and Millie had just finished Matilda. And we were like, we should make our own cabaret because we saw all these people we looked up to doing their own shows at 54 Below, and we're like, we want to do that too. We have like such a cool story. So we wrote it and performed it, and what we had these Broadway producers helping us fund it and everything. And did it at 54 Below, and we were the very first minors to do that. But again, we were so young, we didn't realize like that's kind of a big deal for like a 10-year-old and a 11-year-old and a 13-year-old to be putting on their own show at this very like established cabaret venue. And we were the first ones to do that, which was really, that's like a big deal. And we just didn't realize it because we're like, this is what we want to do and we're going to make it happen. That's another thing I learned being so young in the industry is if you have something you want to do, you can make it happen, but you just have to put in a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's insane. I still can't believe that you were that young and you literally like did an event like that or a show like that. And it was all your idea. It wasn't even your mom being like, this is what you should do. Like when I was 11 or 13, I'd be like doing what my parents like make me do. And I'm just so annoyed with it. But like, this is you making your own world, which is so freaking cool.
Yeah. My mom was also very like supportive too in like letting us do that. Because I feel like a lot of parents would be like, no, you're too young to do that. But she was like, if you want to do something, do it. You just have to figure out how to do it on your own.
Yeah.
Like, I'll support you, but it's what you want to do. So do it yourself.
So are you like emailing producers at like the age of 13 to be like, we have a show idea. Please fund this to make it happen?
I don't really remember what we did. I think a producer might have approached Millie after Matilda, after like recording the cast recording, because he was the one that was helping a lot of other artists do that at 54 Below. So I think, I don't know. I don't remember how that started. It was so long ago. We might have emailed them. I really don't remember.
Wow.
Did she
This is so long ago.
Was she Matilda and Matilda?
Yes.
How cool.
Well, I think now is a great time to get into our DM questions because we are damsels in the DMs. So please tell us about what is the funniest, wildest, or most intriguing or inspirational DM that you've ever received.
Okay. So I rarely look at my DMs, to be honest, as you know, because I
Facts, yes.
want to answer you.
Because I was badgering her because after I met her, I was like, she has the most incredible story. She needs to come on our podcast. And then I was like, please, please, please come on.
Yes, I rarely check my DMs. And the reason I just stopped was I used to go by my real name, Abigail Shapiro. And there's like a really problematic influencer with the same name. So I was
Oh,
getting all
wow.
these like scary DMs from people, and that's what really got me off social media. So I feel like it ended up being a good thing because I'm off like off social media a lot, which is like been really freeing. But it was kind of like scary at the time getting like a lot of scary messages, people thinking I was her or just having the same name as her. Like it was just really kind of awful on social media. So I changed my name and stopped going on social media. So that was great. But I have received a lot of funny DMs, like people DMing me as if I were my character from Doom Patrol. Like things like that. And I'm like, bruh, do you think I'm actually this person? I'm an actor. This isn't real. This is a reality show.
That's crazy. Wait, so
Yeah.
how did you pick Monterey then?
Monterey. My mom wanted to name me that when before I was born. After the city, because she loved the butterfly sanctuary in Monterey,
Aw,
California.
cute. Wow. And you were her little butterfly?
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah, so I chose that. It was between a lot of different things, and then I was like, honestly, I feel like that should be my name because when even growing up, I was like, I feel like my name should be Monterey, instead of Abigail or Abby. I was like, I feel like my name should be Monterey, so I was like, I should just make it my stage name.
Yeah. That's beautiful. What a great story.
Thanks.
There's so many like twists and turns between
Yes.
the influencer and the climate. I'm really into it.
Wait, did you look like the influencer at all? Like, how did they confuse you for her if it's just like the name?
I have no clue. I do not look like her at all. I'm also like 15 years younger than her. So I don't know. People just don't think a lot of the times.
Yeah. Well,
They're like,
clearly, if they're DMing you as your character.
yeah. It's honestly very entertaining. I love it.
Okay, Ash, well, I'll let you have the DM of the week.
All right. So the DM of the week asks, what is the one thing you hate most about the entertainment industry? I'm going to change that word hate because it's such a strong word, but like dislike most or annoys you the most.
Um, so one thing I don't like is there's like a lot of ego in the industry. Um, and I feel like that can create like a toxic hierarchy and cause people to not respect the people around them or care about the people around them on set. So that's the one thing I don't like about the industry. But when that ego isn't there, you can really get honestly what I love about the industry, which is like the sense of collaboration and inspiration everybody feels when they're working together to create something. So I feel like ego blocks that sense of collaboration a lot.
Wow. How do you think people could like be better at tackling the ego in the industry? Like, what do you think? How do you think there's like I don't know, an actionable way to change that?
I feel like I don't know. It's honestly a lot of the time a personal thing. But I feel like when people realize like it's not about you, it's about the project. And also because there's a lot of creatives a lot of the time who focus too much on the project sometimes. So like other people can be in unsafe environments. But just realizing like at the end of the day, this is a job. Um, we're creating art. So this should be something that is uplifting and inspiring and not something that is scary or difficult.
Wow. Great answer. And I just noticed the butterflies behind you. So how fitting.
Oh my God.
So funny. Well, Abby, thank you so much for being here. Can you please tell our listeners where they can find you and stay up to date on everything that you're doing?
Yes, you can find me on the social media I'm most active on is Instagram. So it's my name, Abi Monterey. I'm on TikTok as Abi Monterey. Don't really post much, but sometimes I'll post a funny video here and there.
Well, thank you so much, Abby. You've been so much fun to get to know.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Damsels in the DMs.
As always, please subscribe, send us your messages, your notes, anything you want to send us. We're always listening. We're always reading.
Please rate and review us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you like listening to your podcasts. All right, everybody. Well, it's been another episode of Damsels in the DMs.
Until next time.
It's going down in the DMs. Bye.
DMs, we don't need them, we just leave them.
Please.
Yeah.
It's going down in the DMs. Bye.